today we'll be covering first about South India. South India, we have covered Pallavas previously in ancient India. Today our focus will be on Cholas. देखो अगर ट्रेंड के हिसाब से बात करें, मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट डायनेस्टी इट इज चोलास. बहुत तरह के क्वेश्चंस इस पे बार बार आ चुके हैं. So let me just tell you the kind of questions which come from Cholas, ताकि आपको समझ में आ जाए कि जब तैयारी करते हैं तो कैसे इसको देखना है. So in Cholas, they ask question about their naval campaigns, they ask question about imperialism in general, because when somebody talks about imperialism in general, it includes naval campaigns along with other occupations, means the areas captured by them. If we talk about Rajendra Chola, he came all the way up to Ganges, that's why he has a title Ganga Konda Chola. Then question come on their art and architecture. There are few more important areas where UPSC asks questions, like one very important, it is about their village assemblies. We have one famous inscription, Uttaramerur inscription, and this Uttaramerur inscription specifically talks about what kind of village assemblies were there. क्या उनका specific criteria था बनाने का, how they used to function, what kind of committees were there, selection criteria, and those who could not participate, all those things, plus some higher order questions which includes theories or the historiographies with respect to the overall system of state which was developed by Cholas. So बहुत सारी theories हैं, like K.A.N. Shastri, remember his name. Whenever we talk about any kingdom, empire of South India, he will have some opinion on that. K.N. Shastri. We also have one more personality, Burtonstein. Burtonstein also talks about one theory. एक ही theory उनके पास, segmentary state की. जो भी empire मिल जाता है उसके ऊपर क्या लगा देते हैं, segmentary state. वो अलग बात है कि हाँ इतना applicable होगा या नहीं होगा. देखो ऐसे ही होता है, हर किसी के पास 4-5 ही व्यूज पॉइंट है. किसी भी अगर मार्क्सिस्ट से पूछोगे तो सबसे पहले बोलेगा नहीं फ्यूडलिज्म है, खत्म करो कहानी, अर्ली मिडिएवल, मेक इट वेरी सिंपल फॉर एवरीबॉडी. बट दैट इज नॉट द रियलिटी. लाइक K.N. Shastri says it was a very centralized empire, the Chola empire. Burtonstein says that how can you say that they have strong village assembly along with centralization? That's a very obvious question. Then some people come, they say नहीं feudalism था, छोड़ो ना, बंद करते debate, let's end it here itself. So such kind of theories, they are also important for us, theories of state. अब इसमें कुछ सही गलत नहीं होता. There are various opinions on Cholas and we have to understand them कि क्या क्या opinion है. Then we can always evaluate which opinion is the most important one. वो हम हमेशा evaluate कर सकते हैं. So एक चीज आपको समझ में आई, सब बहुत ज्यादा क्वेश्चन आते हैं चोलास पे. So every aspect of the Chola empire is important for us. In fact, अगर हम शॉर्टकट की बात करें एग्जाम में तो वी कैन वेरी कंफर्टेबली लीव पल्लवास एंड पांड्यास. एग्जाम की बात करें, मतलब अगर कल एग्जाम है, आज रिवीजन करनी है आप लोगों को, है ना. अब ये फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा कल आपको फाउंडेशन में क्या पढ़ा नहीं पढ़ा, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला. व्हाट इज गोइंग टू बी इंपॉर्टेंट, क्वेश्चन कहां से आ रहे हैं. इनफैक्ट यहां से तो आते ही नहीं है, पांड्यास से ऑप्शनल में तो क्वेश्चन आते ही नहीं है. थोड़ा सा रेफरेंस आएगा एंड दैट टू विद अलाउद्दीन खिलजी, जो हमने कल पढ़ा था. ओके, पल्लवास पे if questions come, they mostly come on art and architecture, which we had covered previously. Mostly art and architecture पे ही क्वेश्चन आता है पल्लवास से. तो आज जब हम पढ़ेंगे तो फोकस हमारा किस पे होगा, चोलास पे. Similarly, if we talk about Deccan, in Deccan we see rise of Bahmani. In the deep south we see rise of Vijayanagar. Out of these two also UPSC asks a lot of questions, but mostly from Vijayanagar. Okay, ज्यादातर क्वेश्चन विजयनगर पे रहते हैं. विजयनगर पे भी एक बार थीम्स डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. What kind of questions can be expected, just like that of Cholas. So from Vijayanagar they ask question on their administration. I hope all of you know Vijayanagar has how many dynasties? 4 major dynasties are there of Vijayanagar. So they ask about this one system which is known as Nayankar system. We'll have a discussion on this today. They ask question about Krishna Devyar, like the short forms use करते हैं South India में, KDR. Okay, so on KDR we have questions. There were certain travelers who visited the empire of Vijayanagar. बहुत सारे हैं, अब्दुल रजाक है, डोमिंगो पेस है, ठीक है, निकोलस कॉन्टी है. So many travelers are there. These travelers have provided information about the Vijayanagar. So travelers as a source of history is asked by UPSC. Architecture, yes, it is still asked. Vijayanagar has a very specific relationship with Bahmani, love and hate relationship. UPSC recently also asked about the conflict. What were the sources of conflict between these two empires or kingdoms? So these categories of question, they come from Vijayanagar. And let's be very assured, prelims में भी चोलास और विजयनगर से ही सबसे ज्यादा क्वेश्चन आते हैं. तो आपका पूरा जो यूपीएससी के एग्जाम का साइकिल है ना, चाहे वो प्रीलिम्स हो, चाहे वो मेंस हो, एंड फाइनली अगर इंटरव्यू भी होगा, है ना. मोदी जी ऑल्सो एक्सेप्टेड द संघोल. चोलास का जो ट्रेडिशन था एट द टाइम ऑफ द न्यू पार्लियामेंट. सो अगेन हमारी जो पॉपुलर पॉलिटिक्स, दैट ऑल्सो इज रिकॉग्नाइजिंग 2 डायनेस्टीज, चोलास एंड विजयनगर. और ये यूपीएससी भी करता है. जब हम हिस्ट्री की बात करते हैं थियोरेटिकली, सो एवरीबॉडी सेज वी शुड नॉट फोकस ऑन एलीट हिस्ट्री, बट घूम फिर के हिस्ट्री यार है ही वही 4 लोगों की. हर जगह कोई ना कोई इंपॉर्टेंट पर्सनालिटी और क्वेश्चन वहीं पे आते हैं. तो आज हम पढ़ेंगे, बट इस चीज को आप फिल्टर आउट करना अभी से स्टार्ट कर दो, विच एरियाज आर मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. एंड द रीजन यही है, अब हम सबको पास होना है, हमें हिस्टोरियन नहीं बनना है. हम हिस्टोरियन बनने की क्लासेस नहीं है ये. हमारा काम बहुत सिंपल है. विल फोकस ऑन स्पेसिफिक एरियाज, द कैटेगरीज ऑफ क्वेश्चंस व्हिच आर देयर, एंड फिर उसके ऊपर आंसर राइटिंग करना सीखेंगे. ठीक है, तो एग्जाम को अच्छे से समझ के फिर चलेंगे. नाउ लेट अस स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट टॉपिक. द फर्स्ट टॉपिक इज अबाउट Cholas. Some basic things I'm going to discuss, then we'll start. Cholas, we had discussed about them in the Sangam age. In the Sangam age, there was one very famous ruler and his name was Karikal. But after this Sangam age, we do not see much references of Cholas, and we see their rise only in 9th century. We see the rise in which century? 9th century. Now it is not very clear if is there any relationship with the Cholas of Sangam age or the Cholas which belong to early medieval period. Since they established a very big empire, the title which is given to them, they are known as Imperial Cholas. So we distinguished between these two. Sangam age Cholas, who are more of a part of early state. I hope all of you remember our discussion on early state. It means that there are 4 components of a state. The first component of a state, it is the people who reside in a territory. This territory is under the control of a government, and finally this government, yes, it exercises the sovereignty. So whenever we use the word early state, it specifically means that the government is not having full-fledged functions, and it may affect the exercise of sovereignty. So that's why the early Sangam age Cholas, they were not a full-fledged state. Okay, in fact they were known as Movendars. We'll discuss that. So this Sangam age Cholas has no specific relationship with the Cholas of later time, even though the later Cholas or the Imperial Cholas did use the name of Karikal. Now everybody wants legitimacy. जो महान है उनका नाम लेके हम भी अपना काम कर लेते हैं, right? Like whenever we see politics, all the important freedom fighters, they are given patronage by one or the other political party. क्यों? Because लोगों को प्यार है उन लोगों से. Okay, so that is something which is there. So let us start. Tamil Nadu NCERT covers this history of South India in a very beautiful manner. इतना अच्छा अपनी NCERTs में नहीं है, तो इसलिए यहाँ से बहुत अच्छा इन्फॉर्मेशन निकल के आता है. ठीक है, So Chola belonged to one of the three mighty dynasties that ruled the Tamil country in the early historical period. I hope all of you are aware about it by now. And they have the title of Movendar. Movendar was the title, okay, in the Sangam literature, and they were known for the valor and for the patronage of Tamil language. However, after the Sangam period, until about 9th century, there are no records about them. कुछ नहीं पता हमें बीच का 1000 साल के लिए क्या कर रहे थे, खून करिकाल के बाद है, nobody is aware about it. But one thing we know, yes, they were under the control of the dynasties which came in between. I hope you remember the time period of the dynasties. Like if we talk about the first phase is Sangam age. The Sangam age roughly starts from 300 BC and goes all the way up to 300 AD. In books it may be a little bit different, because दोसो भी लिख देते हैं, don't worry about it. In between we have the rule of certain tribes. They were known as Kalabhras, and these Kalabhras ruled for roughly 300 years. It means at least they were dominant. After that we see the rise of Pallavas. Pallavas ruled majorly from 600 to 850 AD, and from here we see the rise of Cholas. Cholas are going to roughly rule from 850 1250 AD. 400 साल का लगभग रूल होगा, and then eventually this area will come under the control of Pandyas, and from Pandyas it will be taken away by Vijayanagar. Vijayanagar is going to decline. We see the split of Nayakas, and finally after the Nayakas it will come under the control of पूरी हिस्ट्री एक साथ. तो रफली दिमाग में मतलब एक पिक्चर बनाओ, कहां से स्टार्ट होता है, कहां पे जाके एंड होने वाला है. ओके, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम द संगम एज वी शिफ्ट टू Kalabhras. We know very less about the rule of Kalabhras. We had already covered about Pallavas. Okay, Mahendravarman was a famous ruler of Pallavas. After that we see rise of Cholas. So early medieval period in South India mostly belongs to Cholas. After the Cholas we see the rise of Pandyas. Pandyas are going to rule effectively from 1250 to roughly 1500, and by 1500 Vijayanagar is going to further expand, because Vijayanagar, even though it starts in 1336, it will expand in this specific deep south region by 1500, and from 1500 onwards it will continue till 1672, and after 1672 the Nayakas, who are the powerful lords, they will become powerful in the politics of South India, and eventually one after the other many European companies will come and they will go under their control. And last में जो नायकास है ना, इनका टाइटल भी चेंज हो जाता है, इसको पॉलीगर्स बोलते हैं. द ब्रिटिश कॉल देम पॉलीगर्स. सो बहुत सारे रिवोल्ट भी किए इन लोगों ने अगेंस्ट द ब्रिटिश. पॉलीगर्स रिवोल्ट से फेमस है, तो ये हम ध्यान रखेंगे. नाउ लेट अस कम बैक. The changes that overtook Tamil area in the intervening period brought about a major transformation of the region. As we have discussed, Cholas were one among them. The river valleys, they facilitated the expansion of agriculture, leading to emergence of powerful kingdoms. So one thing is always clear: wherever we want strong and powerful kingdom, we need strong agriculture. We need surplus. Without surplus, we cannot have a very strong empire, because whenever surplus come, the government can utilize those resources in creating a good machinery so that they can rule effectively, so that they can have a powerful army. All the important campaign, चाहे वो आर्मी के हो, नेवी के हो, किस चीज पे डिपेंड करते हैं? On a strong army or navy, and that comes from money, that comes from resources. It resulted in the production of surplus food, but this surplus in production resulted in unequal distribution of wealth, which is the reality. अगर हम आज भी देखेंगे पैसे का equally divided है सब में? नहीं. Those who are powerful have more money, have more power. Then society gradually became highly differentiated, unlike the earlier period. We had initially discussed at the time of the Tamil age or the Sangam age that the whole area of Tamil Nadu, it was divided into 5 different parts. Okay, but and all of them, they were having horizontal kind of status. ऐसे North India की तरह वर्ना system में divided नहीं था. Like in North India, if we see Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. This kind of vertical stratification did not develop that easily in South India, and this will become prominent only under the rule of Pallavas and then under Cholas. So in the initial Sangam age or the age of Kalabhras, we do not see any major change with respect to this. Then various institutions and ideas also came from North India. Like if we see the initial temples, they were built by Guptas, but they were taken to the very high level by the time of Pallavas and then under Cholas. So this institution, why are we calling temple an institution? Because temple is not just a place of worship. Today we'll have an understanding of this. Temples are a very crucial part of our cultural history. And in fact, in the medieval time, specifically in South India, they were having large number of functions. Like they used to regulate the money lending in the area. They used to fix the specific rules for marriage. They used to employ thousands of peasants because they used to get land grants, and then they required peasants so that they could have certain level of production. They also used to employ artisan, craftsmen, dancers so that various fairs and festivals could be conducted. That's why we are using the word institution. Institution का देखो बहुत तभी word use करते हैं when it becomes a with certain essential practices. कुछ practices develop कर ली हैं. अगर one of कोई ऐसा event होगा तो उसको हम institution कभी नहीं बोलते. Like we have various like parliament. Parliament is an institution because it has specific kinds of rules through which regulates its members. ना expel भी कर देते बात नहीं मानते तो it has certain rules, regulations, traditions, and whenever these things, what word is utilized? Institution. So these institutions developed in South India. So temples, religion represented Bhakti movement, the first area where we see the development of Bhakti movement in India. That is the area of South India. And here we see the rise of Nayanas as well as Alvar or Azawars. Okay, for which popularized the ideology and faith they represented. As we have discussed, Pallavas was the first time where we see the development of formation of a state, and this state formation reached further heights under the Cholas. After them, we see after the eclipse of Chola kingdom, we see the rise of Pandyas, and Pandyas will rule from which place? Madurai. Madurai is going to be the major place from where they are going to rule. Okay, they will also be responsible for trade expansion. We'll see the maps also later on. कैसे उन्होंने trade को expand किया, and finally they exported grain, cotton, etc. to different parts of the world. So in a way, we'll discuss these two dynasties and let's start. When we see Cholas, who is the founder of the Chola dynasty? Please remember this much. Founder is Vijayala. Okay, so 850 to 871. This is his time period. He conquered the Kaveri Delta. Okay, this Kaveri Delta was conquered. Then he built the famous city of Tanjore. Please remember, this was the initial capital of Cholas, and later on it will be shifted to Gangaikonda Cholapuram. So Tanjore is the initial capital and established the Chola kingdom in 850. Historians therefore refer to them as Imperial Cholas or later Chola. These are the words. Please use them in your answer writing. सिर्फ Cholas कभी नहीं लिखना है, because we are not differentiating between the Sangam age and the early medieval. तो best word होगा, आप उनके लिए Sangam Cholas use करो और इसके लिए Imperial Cholas. That is the best way of writing answers. We have large number of copper plate inscriptions. Okay, these documents that are available, they trace their ancestry to whom? Karikal. करेंगे, because eventually he was one of the most famous king, and that's why they are saying we are the most well-known person from the Sangam age. Now, Vijayala's successor, among them there was one most important personality, and it is Parantaka first. Parantaka first to Kutonga III. This is the most important phase of Chola Empire. Parantaka first. We have the Uttaramerur inscription. They belong to which king? Parantaka first. इसको ध्यान रखना. Uttaramerur inscription, they belong to Parantaka first. These inscriptions belong to 919 and 921, and both of them they belong to the reign of Parantaka first, which tell us about the local self-governance in Chola area. Okay, and they brought glory and fame to the Chola. So these starting from Parantaka first all the way up to Kutonga second. Then Parantaka Chola set up the tone for expansion in territory and broadened the base of the governance. the best rulers of this dynasty, Raja 1 and Rajendra 1. And Raja, he was the father of Rajendra 1. So continuous rule. Initial rule starts from 985 to 1014 and then it continued from 1014 all the way up to 1044. Agar roughly dekhoge, if you combine both the period, it is around 60 years. So father and son, Raja Chola and Rajendra Chola, 60 साल के लिए उन्होंने rule किया. And as a result of this, we see the rise of navy. Navy becomes the most important method through which they will do the expansion. In fact, if there is any one single dynasty in India which has control outside, the dynasty is Cholas. सिर्फ अकेली एक ही डायनेस्टी जिन्होंने बाहर जाके कंट्रोल किया फॉर मेनी इयर्स. अदरवाइज इंडिया की डायनेस्टी के पास टाइम ही नहीं होता. एंड स्पेसिफिकली इट स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम साउथ इंडिया बिकॉज नॉर्थ इंडिया में तो लैंड अपने आप में इतना बड़ा कॉन्टिनेंटल साइज है, आप इतना कर लो वही बहुत है. फॉरगेट अबाउट एनीथिंग एल्स. सो इंटरव्यू में पूछा जाता है कि टेल अस अबाउट सम डायनेस्टी व्हिच कॉन्कर्ड टेरिटरी आउटसाइड. So they conquered Sri Lanka, they conquered Maldives, they also conquered the area in and around the Sri Vijaya kingdom. At least control was maintained in that region. That's why you have to remember Raja 1 and Rajendra 1. These two are the most important personalities of this specific empire. But the strength, it starts from Prantaka first and eventually it ends by the time of the Kulothunga. This is the origin of dynasty. The founder name is Vijayala, capital is Tanjore, and the title given to these Chola, it is Imperial Chola. So basic चीजें आपको याद रखनी है अभी के लिए. Then this is the roughly area. Okay, this is the roughly area which came under the control of Cholas. In fact, they tried to increase it all the way up to here also. Okay, but this was the core area, and in fact, this area of Tanjore, Urayur, and Gangaikonda Cholapuram, this was the core area of the Chola Empire. Okay, so always learn through maps. Maps को हमेशा अच्छे से देखो because that gives us a lot of clarity also. Then, when we talk about Cholas, the sources. One of the most important sources, they are the inscriptions. We have around 10,000 inscription. एक दो नहीं, कितनी है? 10,000 inscription. इनको interpret करते हुए जिंदगी निकल जाएगी. 10,000 inscription engraved on copper and stone form the primary sources of the study of Chola history. Like the most famous one, Uttaramerur inscription. Okay, so we have large number of inscriptions belonging to them. They mainly record the endowment, donation to temples made by rulers as well as the individual, land transaction and taxes. They are also mentioned in them and they form an important part of its content. Later day inscription जो बाद में है, they make a mention of the differentiation in society, that people are now getting divided as per the varna. So that divisions are mentioned in the later inscription, giving an account of the caste, subcaste, and thus providing us information on the social structure. So initial inscription talks about land donations, चाहे वो individual को हो, चाहे वो temples को हो. Later inscription they talk specifically about social structure, which are the important caste in the area. Besides stone inscription, copper plates contain the royal orders also. Like suppose if I am the king and I have given some specific order, so that is also mentioned on the inscriptions. They also contain detail of genealogy. Genealogy means the complete list of Chola dynasty, the wars which have been fought by them, the famous conquest like Gangaikonda Chola. The term itself talks about conquest. Then administrative divisions, local governance like we see from Uttaramerur, local governance, land rights and various taxes levied. So please remember, whenever you write answers, mention that more than 10,000 inscriptions are there which provide information about the Chola dynasty. Next, there are some literature also, because literature is also there. It is not something which is mentioned. Codification of the Shaiva and the Vaishnava canons. Okay, so that is something like Divya Prabandham. They provide us understanding of the various sects, at least the religious history can be seen from these literature. The quasi-historical, why are you using the word quasi-historical? Because it is not pure history. Okay, it talks about many things and there is mixture of sayings with the historical information. Like we have in the Kalinga Tu Parani as well as the Kulothunga Cholan. They were composed during this period. So we have to remember what are the sources to understand the Cholas. So we understood the first major distinction among the sources should go to inscriptions. But they also have certain literary sources, and majority of the literary sources, as all of us understand, in Indian history, they have been religious in nature. So religion, yes. Quasi-historical means it's not a pure historical text. Like suppose if we see Kalhanas Rajatarangani. So Rajatarangani specifically defines that I'm writing about the history of Kashmir. In 5 parts I'm going to divide it, or in 8 parts I'm going to divide it. But whenever some basic information is given, and now we have to extract, like suppose major theme is religious, and from religion we have to extract some form of history. जैसे रामायण महाभारत से कभी कभार हम हिस्ट्री निकालने की कोशिश करते हैं. So that's why these texts are quasi-historical. They have not been written with keeping the main historical viewpoints. उस पर ध्यान देने की कोशिश नहीं करी है. इन्होंने लिख दिया, अब हम उससे निकाल रहे हैं. Like when we use Vedas as a source of history, again the same problem. Vedas were religious texts, and out of the religious text, we are trying to understand their polity, economy, and society, which is open to major, you can say, interpretations. One of the most important works of the time, this is Kamba Ramayanam. As all of us understand, Ramayana has many versions in different parts of India. So the Tamil version of the Ramayana has been written by Kamba, and you can remember his name. Okay, so this was also written, it belongs to this period. Then other than this also there are some other works also which are not that much important. हम at least इतना भी याद रख लेंगे, along with description, that is more than enough for writing in the introduction. Like in the previous answer writing lecture, I talked about that when you do introductions, तो एक तरीका introduction करने क्या है, you can also mention the sources. तो sources याद होंगे तभी तो लिख पाएंगे. Okay, इसलिए at least 2-3 sources हमें हमेशा पता होने चाहिए of a specific period. So for Cholas, these are the sources that we have. Now, as I was telling you that the core kingdom was concentrated in the Kaveri Delta, and it was known as चोला मंडलम. आप सब लोग जब ज्योग्राफी पढ़ेंगे ना तो आपको एक वर्ड निकल के आएगा जिसको हम क्या बोलते हैं, कोरोमंडल, एंड दिस इज अ करप्टेड फॉर्म ऑफ चोला मंडलम. ठीक है, तो कोरोमंडल को कहीं और से नहीं आया, इट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम चोला मंडलम. तो ये एनसीईआरटी में उन्होंने डिस्कस किया हुआ कि कहाँ वर्ड कहाँ था, पहुंच कहाँ चला गया. ठीक है, तो फ्रॉम चोला मंडलम वी हैव कोरोमंडल. उनको बोल इंग्लिश में क्या फर्क पड़ता है, 2 चीज इधर हटाए 2 चीज इधर हटाए मिला दो, है ना. दैट्स हाउ इट इज. So Yogi ji is not the first one to change name. First was done by the British, and now we are seeing the second wave. है ना, जैसे कोरोना में थी. Anyway, so Chola kingdom expanded through military conquest, and with the period of time, its core area it started expanding. Like then it went towards Pudukkottai, Ramanathapuram district, and the Kongu country area of the present day western Tamil Nadu. तो पहले उन्होंने एक specific area पे focus किया, चोला मंडलम, which was the fertile delta of कावेरी. लुक, ऑल ऑफ अस नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड, सबसे ज्यादा कोई भी डायनेस्टी कहाँ फोकस करेगी, जहां सबसे ज्यादा रिसोर्सेज होंगे. रिसोर्सेज कहाँ होते हैं, डेल्टा में होते हैं. दैट्स व्हाट इट इज. एंड इन साउथ वी हैव स्मॉलर डेल्टास रिलेटिवली. तो उनका फोकस उस चोला मंडलम पे सबसे ज्यादा था. ओके, एंड विद द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम दे केप्ट ऑन कॉन्करिंग नॉट ओनली इन इंडिया एज वेल एज आउटसाइड लाइक मालदीव्स, श्रीलंका एज वेल एज द अदर एरियाज. नाउ one of the most important personality for the is Raja Raja 1. You have to remember their name because इनके ऊपर डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन भी आता है. हर डायनेस्टी में कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट पर्सनालिटीज है. लाइक हियर 2 पर्सनालिटीज आर इंपॉर्टेंट, फादर एंड सन डुओ, राजा राजा 1 एंड राजेंद्र 1. इनकी नेवल एक्सपीडिशन डायरेक्टली पूछ ली जाती है. ठीक है, so you should be aware about it. Like when we'll talk about Vijayanagar, तो कृष्ण देव राय is a very important personality. Like when we discussed Delhi Sultanate, we discussed about Iltutmish in detail. We discussed about Balban in detail. We discussed about Alauddin Khilji. We discussed, तो इन 3 के ऊपर ही मेजर फोकस था हमारा, और इन्हीं पे ही क्वेश्चन आता है. और 4 तो फिर आप सबको पता है, मोहम्मद बिन तुगलक, है ना, जिसको पढ़ने में बहुत उतना ही मजा आता है जितना लिखने में. So whatever it is, so these are the 4 major personalities on which UPSC asks question in our Delhi Sultanate part. Similarly यहाँ पे ये 2 लोग हैं. तो हर डायनेस्टी में कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट पर्सनालिटीज है, उन पे हम लोग हमेशा फोकस करेंगे. So he is the most celebrated of the Chola king. He engaged in naval expeditions, okay, and emerged victorious in the western coast, Sri Lanka, and conquered the Maldives in Indian Ocean. In fact, he conquered the northern part of Sri Lanka. पूरा श्रीलंका conquer नहीं किया था इन्होंने. He conquered the northern part of Sri Lanka, but Maldives was completely captured by him. ठीक है, तो ध्यान रखना, Maldives was captured by Raja Raja 1 himself. North Sri Lanka, the part of Sri Lanka was only north part of Sri Lanka. Okay, there's a famous place in Sri Lanka, Anuradhapura. ओके, अनुराधापुरा, तो वो इन्होंने कैप्चर कर लिया था. ही कैप्चर्ड इट. द मिलिट्री विक्ट्री over Sri Lanka led to its northern and eastern portion governed the annexed region and ordered a temple to be built, and it was eventually built on the name of Shiva, because Sri Lanka was mostly a Buddhist country. They were following the tradition of Buddha, so that's why when they went there, they were the ardent follower of Shaivism. सबसे अच्छा जो नटराज का मूर्ति वगैरह मिलता है वो कहाँ से मिलता है? चोलास के यहाँ से मिलता है. Then they went to Sri Lanka, they promoted that there itself. Chola official appointed in Sri Lanka built a temple in a place which is known as महातिता. तो श्रीलंका में इन्होंने है ना महाकालेश्वर वगैरह वाला शुरू कर दिया, महाकाल की फोटो शुरू करो. द टेम्पल इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड राजा राजेश्वर. सो इवन इन श्रीलंका दे स्प्रेड द कल्चर ऑफ हिंदुइज्म. दैट इज देयर कंट्रीब्यूशन, बिकॉज व्हेनेवर यूपीएससी आस्क्स क्वेश्चंस लाइक दैट, assess the contribution of Raja Raja Chola in Indian history. Suppose a basic level question comes. So when you assess the contribution, you also assess their cultural contribution. Cultural contribution in their own land and cultural contribution outside. So these are the points which tell us that he was spreading Shaivism even in Sri Lanka by installing various temples. Even as he was alive, Raja Raja I, he appointed his son Rajendra I. Okay, and that is how we have a joint rule for some time period. This was a regular method among the dynasties, so that the new people who become the king or the queen eventually can get the wisdom how to rule their empire. पर ये तो पता ही नहीं चलेगा, कुछ भी करते रहेंगे. जैसे पॉलिटिक्स में होता है, इफ यू डू नॉट हैव विजडम तो फिर आपका करियर चलता नहीं है, खिंचता है ना. लाइक रिसेंटली यू हैव सीन मायावती, शी हैज डिसमिस्ड हर, है ना, हाँ अपने नेफ्यू को डिसमिस किया. क्या? बिकॉज यू शुड फर्स्ट गेट द विजडम. तो पहले कॉन्जॉइंट रूल करना चाहिए, साथ बैठा के कराओ, सिखाओ, साइड में कॉर्नर में बैठ के 2 साल 3 साल सीखो, देन ओनली यू शुड एंटर पॉलिटिक्स. लाइक इफ यू सी राहुल गांधी, राहुल गांधी का जो इनिशियल करियर है, इट फील्स लाइक दैट ही वाज नॉट गाइडेड वेल इनफ, बिकॉज व्हाटएवर नैरेटिव वाज बिल्ड बाय मोदी जी इन 2014 एटसेट्रा फॉर 4-5 years it was there. It shows that he was not that much committed to the politics. Only after Congress lost, then he started changing himself, and now he is projecting himself as somebody else. That's why he says in interviews also, पुराना राहुल गांधी मर गया, है ना, मैं नहीं जानता उसको, because that image has gone. Now he is not behaving like he used to. That's why, और पहले ये सब opportunities नहीं थी. You have to directly rule. It is not election. So that's why they have to very safeguarding this, because whatever has been built by Raja Raja Chola in his rule of 15-20 years, अब next generation को उसको आगे तो carry forward करना पड़ेगा ना. And that's why they used to have a joint rule. Next we have Rajendra. He was having even more military achievements. He took part in military campaigns of his father, attacking the western Chalukyas, okay, and the boundary of the Chola Empire. He extended it all the way up to the Tugabhadra river. वहां तक इन्होंने उसको extend किया. Then he even attacked Madurai, and the Pandyas escaped with their crown and royal jewels and took shelter in Sri Lanka. This is the reason why he will conquer the whole of Sri Lanka. Only the north and eastern part of Sri Lanka was conquered by Raja Raja Chola. But when he attacked the Pandya kingdom, their Raja ran away from Madurai all the way up to Sri Lanka. So it seems that Sri Lanka is having very close relationship with the dynasties of South India. So thereupon Rajendra I conquered Sri Lanka and confiscated the Pandyan crown and other royal belongings. छोड़ेंगे तो नहीं, है ना. After that they eventually went. We do not know Ram Setu existed at that point of time, but anyway they were having a very strong navy. Navy के terms में ना 2 ही अपनी dynasties famous है. One is Marathas and second is Cholas. Marathas were having territorial navy, मतलब अपने कोस्ट के 25-50 किलोमीटर आसपास में ही ज्यादा था उनका. लेकिन if we talk about them, they were a proper blue water navy. Blue water navy means which go into the deep seas, because अगर आप यहाँ से लेके इंडोनेशिया तक लेके जा रहे हैं तो हाँ हो गया आपका टेस्ट, है ना, इतना ही है. इंडियन ओशन आपने कर लिया अपने कब्जे में. So that is why we use the word Bay of Bengal became a Chola lake. कि पूरा बे ऑफ बंगाल एक लेक बन गया इन लोगों के लिए, एंड दे आर द रियल कैप्टन्स ऑफ these high seas. That's why we need to remember that one dynasty which has taken Indian culture far and wide, they are the Chola. सबसे ज्यादा बड़ा रोल है इन लोगों का. He led the expedition again up to the Godavari river and asked his general to continue beyond, and then he took the title of Gangaikonda Chola, है ना, and then eventually created a city also which is known as Gangaikonda Cholapuram. फिर कैपिटल वहां पे इन्होंने शिफ्ट कर ली. टेम्पल भी बनाया था with the same name. So that's why Rajendra Chola is also very very important for us with respect to this dynasty. If we talk about naval campaigns, okay, so naval campaigns are very very important. We need to understand that during this reign the Tamil reached their peak. They were controlling both Coromandel, which I have already told you, it was Chola Mandalam, and Chola Mandalam का क्या बन गया? Coromandel, and the second is Malabar coast towards the side of Kerala. So Kerala and Tamil Nadu, whole of this came under their control. Second, their navy often ventured into Bay of Bengal, as we have already seen. So as a result of that, their Rajendra's naval operation was directed against which kingdom? Sri Vijaya kingdom, and this Sri Vijaya kingdom, or the southern part of Sumatra, was one of the prominent maritime and commercial state that flourished from 700 to 1300 in Southeast Asia. He was very pertinent about having good trade relation with China. और चाइना के साथ अच्छे रिलेशन होने के लिए you should have control over which specific state? State of Malacca. और मलक्का स्टेट का ओरिजिन किस एरिया के आसपास में आता है? सुमात्रा. That's why he was trying to control this area. कि चाइना के साथ ट्रेड हमारी खत्म नहीं होनी चाहिए. Similarly, Kadaram Frederick kingdom under Srivijaya was also conquered by him. His invasions of Western Chalukyan Empire undertaken in 1003 and 1009 was also successful. Rajendra sent his son to ransack and ravage its capital Kalyani later on. Okay, because there are so many Chalukyas of Kalyani. Initially we had the Chalukyas of Badami, as well as we have Chalukyas of Vengi. Chalukyas of Anilvara is also there. So a common title hai for the Kshatriyas, and that is Chalukyas. Dwarpal image he brought from the Kalyani was installed at the Darusuram temple near Kumbhakonam. Kumbhakonam, you have to remember, this was a place where they used to have their royal treasure. जितना भी हीरे ज्वारात थे वो कहाँ रखते थे? कुंभकोणम में. कुंभकोणम is a very famous city for, तो कभी कभी क्वेश्चन आ भी सकता है आपका मैप में. ओके, मैप में क्या किस टाइप के क्वेश्चन आते हैं आजकल? होर्डिंग वाले, कि यहाँ पे कॉपर होर्ड मिला है, आयरन होर्डिंग किसने करी है? So jewels of the Cholas, they used to be at this place which is known as Kumbhakonam, and it's a very famous one. If we talk about their administration, okay, the nature of the Chola state, it's always debated. जैसे कि मैंने आपको briefly समझाया था. What is the meaning of nature? Whenever somebody says nature of Chola state, तो आपके पास कुछ keywords होने चाहिए. Like suppose, is it centralized or decentralized? Second, is it welfare oriented? Is it pursuing the policy of imperialism? So all such adjectives we try to understand. Okay, other than centralized, decentralized, other keywords which we use, like, is it affected by feudalism? One keyword we use here, is it a segmentary state? So depending upon the interpretation of the historians, different kinds of thing can be affixed to the nature of the state. Some states, like which belong to Sangam period, they are also known as early state. So depending upon the dynasty, we have to see the nature. आप एक keywords याद कर लीजिए, अभी बहुत ज़्यादा discussion नहीं करेंगे. Like if we just see basically, then K.N. Shastri says that Cholas were a centralized state. Centralized state था. Okay, and whenever somebody says centralized, what things are going to be put forward to second the specific debate? उस theme को कैसे वो आपको justify करेंगे? So the justification is often done by showcasing that the people were having a very powerful military, very strong bureaucracy is there. They will talk about their naval campaigns. They will talk about certain royal orders which can showcase the power of the kings, titles taken by the king, All such things will be talked about. Whoever is going to call it centralized. Those who will say it was decentralized, they will talk about the autonomy which is given to the local governance institutions, like it was said by Bartenstein, that if these institutions which are mentioned in the Uttarameru inscription are working in an autonomous manner, so how can we call them centralized? They should be decentralized. Decentralization of the functions, functionaries, funds, that is what it is about. Welfare, like suppose if they are creating irrigation projects, irrigation is very, very important for the surplus of agriculture, for increasing the income of the people. Like today, if we see for agriculture, we'll have at least 40-50 schemes. If we see whole of India, every state will have its individual scheme, and the central government has at least 15 to 20 schemes. But today, India is a what kind of state? Welfare state. Okay, so if we see the elements of welfare, like Ashoka has built up a welfare state, but Ashoka के लिए एक और word use करते हैं, paternalistic. Somebody is treating his subjects like their sons and daughters. जैसे हमारे माँ बाप करते हैं ना हमारे साथ, ये तुम्हारे लिए अच्छा है, ये पढ़ाई करो, ये करो. Such kind of a state is known as paternalistic, where he came out with Dhamma, that आपकी ये जिंदगी तो अच्छी होगी, अगला जन्म भी अच्छा होगा अगर इस तरीके से आप इसको फॉलो करोगे. So such kind of a state is known as paternalistic. Like if we see the case of Delhi Sultanate was what kind of a state? Imperialist. Okay, they may have various characters. Like if we see Alauddin Khilji, under Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad bin Tughlaq, their character was imperialist. Okay, some states have elements of constant warfare. Like if we see Vijayanagar and Bahamani, रोज लड़ाई करनी है उन लोगों को, है ना? They have so many wars and battles between them. That's why sometimes we even use the word war state. It was more of a war state. So whenever somebody uses the word nature, you should be ready with all this. If the local elements are too strong and they are defying the authority of the king, then it is a feudalistic kind of state, the Samanta kind of system which we see in North India. Segmentary state model is something different altogether. जो हम कभी आराम से बात करेंगे वो 1-2 मिनट में समझ में नहीं आएगा. It requires at least 1 hour. But anyway, whenever somebody talks about nature, it's again boils down to what kind of characteristics can we see in the governance process, and the moment we see those characteristics, we highlight them by using various kinds of adjectives. तो अगर आपको बहुत अच्छे आंसर्स लिखने हैं तो ये सब चीजें आपको आनी चाहिए. अब देखो एनसीईआरटी में सिर्फ एक लाइन लिख के छोड़ दिया. एनसीईआरटी में क्या लिखा? हिस्टोरियंस हैव डिबेटेड अबाउट द नेचर ऑफ चोला स्टेट. कोई बात नहीं, लेकिन मोनार्की तो थी इनके पास. जो बीच की कहानी है वही तो लिखनी पड़ती है एग्जाम में. इफ समबडी सेज इवैल्यूएट द नेचर ऑफ चोला स्टेट, आप ये लिख के पूछा कि हाँ हिस्टोरियन ने कुछ तो बोला, एक काम बताते हैं यहाँ पे मोनार्की है शायद. सो दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. वो तो हम पॉइंट लिखेंगे कि मोनार्की है या रिपब्लिकन स्टेट है, दैट इज विल राइट, दिस आर द बट ऑब्वियस. वो तो साफ दिख रहा है, राजा है तो मोनार्की की तो होगी, दैट इज ऑलवेज देयर, है ना. और अगर इलेक्शन है तो क्या होगा? रिपब्लिक काइंड ऑफ सिस्टम होगा. बट एनीवे, लेट अस ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. One of the most important part of any state system is the power and prestige of king. So that is something we see hereditary, like from Raja. The throne did not pass away outside, it went towards Rajendra Chola. So what kind of monarchy is there? Hereditary monarchy is there. Second, the king is presented in glowing terms in the literature and inscription of the period and venerated on par with God. This is very, very important. They were venerated, means उनकी worship होती थी just like God. In fact, there, in the temples there used to be images of the king itself. In South India, hero culture is something of a different level. You see one movie of Rajnikant coming. कभी जाना South India में, उस टाइम घूमने फिरने जाना. Like I went, I was in school at that point of time. Bangalore में था मैं और वहाँ से ऊटी जा रहा था. When I went there, I realized यार एक मूवी आई रजनीकांत की, and people हर जगह फोटो उनके ऊपर दूध चढ़ा रहे हैं एक्सेट्रा. आई वाज समथिंग ऑफ ए कल्चरल शॉक, यार इतना कैसे कर रहे हैं. बट देन आई रियलाइज दैट दे वेनरेट देयर हीरोज ऑन पार विद गॉड. सो व्हाट वाज हैपनिंग इन द चोला आज भी है वो. जयललिता, when Madam Jayalalitha she died, eventually many people committed suicide along with her. Same tradition was in Cholas. The bodyguards of the Chola king used to commit suicide when the king used to die. Bodyguards. We are not talking about marriage. We are talking about those people who are just bodyguards of the king. Such was the love that हमारे दाता चले गए, हम क्या करेंगे इस दुनिया में. So that's why veneration on par with God. बिल्कुल God वाला symbol दिया जाता. Kings were addressed by various kinds of titles. Titles में जैसे कि Peruman, okay, or a big man, so different kind, Lord of the world, various kinds of titles were there. Later they also took some of the titles from North India, like Chakravarti is a famous title from the area of Bengal. Chakravarti title was taken, okay, and coronation practice, Dev was added to the king's name. These kinds of practices were there, and they drew legitimacy by claiming that they were on a comrade of God. So they were very close to God. So this is how the way king was treated in this specific state system. Other than king, the second thing which we always talk about, we talk about the Rajgurus. Okay, like Chola kingdom appointed Brahman as spiritual advisors. So Brahman had a very high respect in their society. The similar thing is going to go to Vijayanagar also. In Vijayanagar, all the major forts, जितने भी अच्छे किले होते थे, उनकी जो मेजर उनको तो क्या कहते हैं कि अपॉइंटमेंट्स हमेशा किसकी करते थे? ब्राह्मण्स की. तो ब्राह्मण्स वर गिवन द की ऑफ ऑल द फोर्ट्स कि आप कंट्रोल करो. एंड दैट शोज दैट ब्राह्मण्स वर एंजॉयिंग वेरी हाई प्रेस्टीज इन द सोसाइटी. So it is the same under Cholas and continue will under Vijayanagar. Inscription by Raja Raja I and Rajendra I mention Rajgurus, okay, our high ranking Shiva priest. Naturally, those who were follower of Shiva are going to be given more priority because the kingdom was patronizing that. Second, Brahmins increased their prestige and legitimacy. Various kinds of land grants were given. Brahmadeya was one famous type of land grant, and this large estate were donated to Brahmins. Other than this, we also have Chaturvedi films in which land grants to Brahmins, likely supporting education as well as their religious activities. So various kinds of land grants were given, and as a result of this, what do we see? After king, the next highest prestige, it went to Brahmins, because the Brahmins were appointed as well-wishers also. They were appointed in various capacities, plus they were given land grants also. If we see provinces, okay, so if we see Raja Raja I, he appointed viceroys in various regions like Chola Pandya in the Tamil Nadu, Chola Lankeshwara in Sri Lanka. So various kinds of provinces were there, okay, depending upon the area which are under their control. It could be divided into various parts. Like today India, it is divided into 28 states. So similarly, whatever area was under their control, it was divided. And in less prominent regions, the territories of chiefs such as Iroquois, okay, or the Banas, they were made part of the Chola state, and their chiefs were inducted into the state system as its functionaries. So ज़्यादा autonomy वहाँ मिलती थी जहाँ पे area क्या था, अच्छा होता था. And those who were weaker, they were mostly within the control of the direct state. If we see army, three types of division were there: infantry, cavalry, as well as the elephant corps. All three types of army was there. Two types of rank were there. In fact, in South India, for the first time we see ranks. जैसे आज की डेट में ranks होता है ना, group A officer, B, C as well as D. Such ranks are given to the officials. Like all of us, we are fighting for A in UPSC, but we still have some services which belongs to which group? B group, है ना, दानिक्स वगैरह B group को होती. So similarly here, the upper and the lower, दो तरीके के थे. जो upper थे, they were known as Perundanam. The upper class officials under the Cholas, they went by the name Perundanam, and those who belong to the lower, they were known as Sirundanam. Perundanam and Sirundanam, both are mentioned here. Then even Chinese geographer of 13th century, okay, he talks about 60,000 war elephants which were there with them for fighting purpose. So Cholas in general were having a very strong infrastructure with respect to their army as well as navy, and that is very, very clear even from the accounts which are left behind by the neutral parties. Local organization, as we have already seen, they have various kinds, which includes Urar, Sabhayar, Nagaratan and Natar. Depending upon the type of community, the type of local institution also changed. Depending करता था, जैसे कि if there is Brahmins, then they were known as Sabhayar. If there was local people, they would become part of Urar. So depending upon what categories of people were residing in a specific area, different set of local governance could be ensured. Like Urar, with the expansion of agriculture, numerous peasant settlements came up in the countryside and they were known as Ur. है ना, उसको उर बोलते थे. And this Urar, who were the landholders in the village, acted as spokesperson in the Ur. So these were the one who became very, very influential. Similarly, if we go to different areas, different set of people are going to control them. Like if we go towards the Brahmadeya area was under the control of Brahmanas, and these Brahmana area were under the control of Sabhayar. So depending upon the people, the category of land, different set of local institutions were established by the Cholas. So here we see a lot of diversity. Like if we go towards Nagaram, they were the settlements of traders. So traders के लिए क्या रहता था? Nagarattar. They used to control the settlements of the traders. So depending upon the settlements, different set of local institutions were there. So we have seen Ur, we have seen Sabha, we have also seen Nagarattar. So different set of people controlling different set of areas. Natar, it was eventually an important word, literally those belonging to Nadu. Nadu is a normal term. Like today if we see Tamil Nadu. So Nadu remains a very important part. So all of you should remember, it was a group of several Urs, छोटे छोटे areas को जैसे district समझ लो एक तरीके से. So Nadu was more of a word for district. Ur is a word mostly for the villages. So when we combine many villages, eventually it becomes a district. That is how Natar word becomes prominent. Okay, they were the assembly of landholders of various villages, belonging villages in the Nadu area. So different set of institutions are there. These people also held hereditary land rights. So hereditary land right means the land right flow from one generation to another within the family. Then if we see economy, yes, agriculture, there were various major developments in this region. Kaveri Delta, it's very fertile, so agriculture surplus was there, and many steps were taken by the kings in order to increase the area under irrigation. All of us know productivity of the land, it depends upon the application of water और कितना timely हम कर पाते हैं, and that is why they did a lot of things, okay, for specifically the irrigation. In fact, let me show you. Irrigation was one of the most important part of the state system of welfare. Like we see, focus on water management was there. They used to call it Vati vehicle system, which was a kind of crisscross channels which they used to build. They also had a big canal network. So all such steps were taken by the state so that agriculture can remain surplus in nature. Always, if more production will be there, naturally the state will have more percentage of taxation. So finally, win-win situation was created. So large number of irrigation structure were created by the Cholas. Again, we can see like Nadu level vehicle, tank irrigation, labor and maintenance was also ensured. Because for tank you require a lot of labor, because every year the silt is going to get deposited और उसका level क्या होगा, कम, उसकी capacity क्या हो जाएगी, कम हो जाएगी. But that's why we require labor and maintenance of these various types of infrastructure projects for irrigation. So these things were done. Like we see during the time of Rajendra Chola, he created an embankment of a solid masonry for around 16 miles long. उन्होंने एक प्रोजेक्ट बनाया और इस प्रोजेक्ट का उन्होंने नाम भी लिख दिया, okay, जल माया जय स्तंभम. That shows us what was the level of the focus on irrigation. All of us need to understand there is a specific difference with respect to rivers of North India and rivers of South India. The rivers of South India, they are not perennial, okay, they become more active during the time of monsoon. So that's why water scarcity is a big issue. Plus the aquifer system of North India and South India is also different. तो थोड़ी सी ना ज्योग्राफी की नॉलेज भी चाहिए अच्छी हिस्ट्री समझने के लिए. एक्विफर सिस्टम ऑफ नॉर्थ इंडिया वाटर को होल्ड कर लेता है, बट दैट ऑफ साउथ इंडिया इट्स अ डिफरेंट, जल्दी से रिचार्ज होता है, जल्दी से चला भी जाता है. बिकॉज ऑफ दीज टू फैक्टर्स, लाइक हियर वी हैव हिमालयस, अपना क्लाइमेट चेंज तो वैसे भी चल ही रहा है, round the year we have availability of water, no problem as such. But if we go towards Bangalore, or all of you are aware about what is happening in Bangalore, है ना, so water scarcity, time and again the same kind of problem. And why does that happen? एक monsoon season खराब हुआ और एक दो साल के लिए water scarcity problem comes into the picture. That's why the Cholas are working so much for irrigation. वो आज की सरकार समझती नहीं है ना. Learn from the legacy. Like when somebody says history repeats itself, you know, if you are not going to take steps, eventually this it's going to bound to happen time and again. So जब भी ऐसे essays भी लिखने आते हैं तो ऐसे अच्छे एग्जाम्पल निकाल के लेके आओ विच आर यूनिक इन नेचर. हर कोई वर्ल्ड वॉर का एग्जाम्पल लिख देगा कि वर्ल्ड वॉर 1 हुआ, लोगों ने नहीं सीखा, फिर से वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 हो गया. But here we see some good examples that welfare state, it sees from the concern these kings are showing for their subjects, for keeping their economy vibrant, because naturally एक agriculture की cycle खराब हुई, taxation system will get affected as a result of that. Then you can be like British, it does not matter production हुआ है नहीं, घर बेच दो, हमें time पे पैसा पहुंचा दो. But that was not going to happen with such kings, because they were more like their king. It was not like they came from outside. Okay, it was not a logic of colonialism. Land revenue was the prime method through which the tax was collected by the government, and whenever somebody collects the tax, that is then utilized for the various set of activities. So land revenue was most important. In fact, they did a lot of things for the measurement also, so that the revenue which is collected from the individual peasantry, it creates a kind of balance. कि भाई ठीक है, we are collecting 30% tax or 40% of the produce, at least 60% is left behind with the peasantry. And how can that be ensured? By having a system of land measurement. So this land measurement was very important. Different types of measures were there. Like today आप देखो कि बहुत सारे वर्ड यूज होते हैं इंडिया में, कोई बीघा बोलता है, कोई किला बोलता है, कोई हेक्टेयर बोलता है. तो डिफरेंट सेट्स ऑफ थिंग्स आर देयर. So similarly in South India, Kuli, Veli, Ma, Patti, Padagam, all these were different sets of land measurement. नॉर्थ इंडिया में जैसे अगर हम बात करें बंगाल एरिया की, तो कुलवप्पा, द्रोणवप्पा, पतका, these were the different methods of land measurement. So depending upon the area that you are in, land measurement के जो standards हैं वो वेरी करते थे. तो कभी पूरी हिस्ट्री में ये चीज मैं आपको पहले भी समझा चुका हूँ, चोला टॉपिक कैन कम इन बोथ एंशिएंट एज वेल एज मिडिएवल. जहां यूपीएससी का मन करता है वहां पे डाल देता है. एंड यूपीएससी इज आस्किंग क्वेश्चंस ऑन एग्रीकल्चर रेगुलरली. Like I think 2020 they asked the question, what kind of different irrigation systems were there during the early medieval period. तो आप अगर चोलास के बारे में नहीं लिखोगे then answer is always incomplete. ध्यान रखो और साथ में लैंड मेजरमेंट वगैरह को जरूर लिखो जब भी एग्रीकल्चर पे क्वेश्चन आता है, because it's a very important part. Different types of taxes were there, like Irai, it was a kind of general land tax. Then we have Kanikadam, tax collected for specific purposes. Then Irakikata, Kanikadam, tax collected in kind, and Kadamai, it was a land tax, possibly the most common. So many taxes, clarity नहीं है हमारे पास कि exactly किस type का tax होगा. We just go for the common knowledge of that area and उसको कर देते हैं. Prelims में ऐसे keywords टपक जाते हैं हर साल एक आधा, जैसे कि if they give 3-4 these keywords and then they will ask the following refers to which of the following. फिर लिखेंगे taxation system in South India, फिर लिखेंगे different types of canals in different parts of India. ऐसे करके फिर वो आपको परेशान करेंगे. तो थोड़ा सा रट्टाफिकेशन करो. रट्टाफिकेशन करने के देखो दो बहुत बड़े फायदे हैं. प्रीलिम्स में गलती नहीं होगी, मेंस में मार्क्स ज्यादा आएंगे. इफ यू से देयर वर डिफरेंट मेजर्स है ना ऑफ लैंड, तो बता तो दो कौन से डिफरेंट, बिकॉज यू नो द कंसेप्ट, बट द कंसेप्ट डिमांड्स क्या, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ डिफरेंट लैंड मेजरमेंट सिस्टम वर देयर. सो ऑल ऑफ यू शुड बी वेरी क्लियर अबाउट इट कि भाई रट्टाफिकेशन 1% करना पड़ेगा. लॉजिक्स जैसे हमने सही सीख लिया, नेचर ऑफ स्टेट में ये 5-6 पॉइंट्स हमेशा आएंगे, बट ये तो याद करना पड़ेगा ना किसके बारे में कौन सा हिस्टोरियन ने क्या बोला है. दैट इज डिफरेंट. लॉजिक आपको एक जगह तक लेके जा सकते हैं, उसके आगे तो फिर आपकी पूरी जो मेहनत है वो इसी के ऊपर होने वाली कि आपने कितना याद किया है स्ट्रक्चर को. टैक्स पेड बाय कल्टिवेटेड बोथ गवर्नमेंट एंड लैंडलॉर्ड, इट वाज नोन एज कुदिमाई. ओपती वाज अ टैक्स लेविड बाय किंग एज वेल एज लोकल चीफ्स. टैक्स सब्जम्पशंस दे वर गिवन टू 2 कैटेगरीज ऑफ पीपल, Brahmins itself and those who ran the temples. So these 2 areas were given tax exemption. Tax paid in kind was referred as Irai Katina Nelu. Now अब थोड़े से टेक्निकल टर्म्स हो रही है, बहुत ज्यादा अभी इसमें से याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है. एटलीस्ट 4-5 चीजें याद रख लो, कौन कौन से टैक्सेशन सिस्टम है, लैंड मेजरमेंट किस किस तरीके के होते थे. दैट इज समथिंग विच इज मोर देन इनफ. पैडी एज अ टैक्स वाज कलेक्टेड बाय यूनिट नोन एज कलम. कलम जैसे कि नॉर्थ इंडिया में मण का कंसेप्ट है, आपने सुना भी होगा इन योर विलेजेस. मण बोलते हैं, मण मीन्स 40 kg, कितने मण प्रोडक्शन हुआ है. Okay, like in South India we have कलम 28 kg का कंसेप्ट आता है. तो देखो मेजरमेंट सिस्टम आज के जो है उस दुनिया से अलग है. दैट्स व्हाई राजा राजा वन इवेंचुअली स्टैंडर्डाइज द कलेक्शन ऑफ टैक्सेस. इरिगेशन पे हमने ऑलरेडी बात कर लिया. इरिगेशन वाज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड दे वर्कड ऑन डिफरेंट सेट ऑफ इरिगेशन सिस्टम्स लाइक एम्बैंकमेंट आल्सो, टैंक इरिगेशन आल्सो, ऑल दोस थिंग्स वर डन बाय हिम. वाटर राइट्स रिस्पांसिबिलिटी ये भी स्पेसिफिकली दी जाती थी टू वेरियस कमिटीज. Like Uttarameru inscription talks about committees. One of the committee at the village level that used to look after water management. Because water, as I've told you, it's a scarce commodity. And during the medieval times, it was not something like today. Okay, so they had to be very specific about what they need to do to ensure a bountiful of harvest. So that is what they used to do. The allotment of water was also there, and it was known as specifically Nirikintra Varu. वेयर द डिवाइड कितना वाटर कौन यूटिलाइज करेगा ताकि उसके बेसिस पे. सो मेंटेनेंस, फंडिंग, हर चीज अच्छे से उन्होंने कंट्रोल की बाय द चोलास. दैट्स व्हाई दे कंटिन्यूड फॉर 400 years बिकॉज रूलिंग एनी एरिया फॉर 400 years दैट रिक्वायर्स अ कंसिडरेबल अमाउंट ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ. अभी हमें आजाद हुए 75 साल हुए हैं. वी हैव सीन सो मेनी पार्टीज कमिंग एंड गोइंग. वी हैव सीन सो मेनी प्राइम मिनिस्टर कमिंग एंड गोइंग. 400 साल, 400 years, दैट्स लॉट. If we talk about society and structure, as we have discussed initially, the major structure, it was not like North India, but with the period of time, it became similar in nature. Same kind of system developed there also. We have Brahman at the top, then we have Kshatriya, then we have the Vaishyas, and finally at the bottom we have the Shudras and some untouchables also, which were outside the Varna system. So hierarchy developed. Brahman became most prosperous among them. Temples, they were gifted land, which were known as specifically Devdan. Dev means the god. So whatever gift has been given to the temple, it is known as Devdan. Landholders of various villages were placed in the next hierarchies. Laborers, slaves also stayed at the bottom of social hierarchy. And outside the world of agrarian society, there were different set of people, which included armed men, which included artisans as well as traders. So society was having various categories of functions, and depending upon the kind of profession that they were engaged in, different set of things were done. Now, as we already discussed, that they were the followers of Shiva, the most famous temple of the time. It is the temple of Brideshwara, which we found at which place? Tanjore. Tanjore में हमें मिलता है. So that we found from many places. So Parantaka first, Uttarama Chola, they made provisions and gifted the land to promote religion. Fresco paintings are also there, which were made during the time of Raja Raja I. The most important religion became Shaivism. Shiva was the preeminent god, and Shiva was worshipped in many forms. Like one form is लिंग भद्वा. So जो लिंग की तरह, शिवलिंग की तरह पूजा करते हैं, that is known as लिंगो भाव. And then Nataraj. In Nataraj, as all of us know, we see the dance of Shiva, and Shiva is being shown like he is controlling the whole cosmos through his different parts of his body. But that is the form which is known as Nataraj. Okay, representation of various, like we see Tripurantaka, ये भी representation आती है, which means a destroyer of three mythical city of Asur. So Shiva is shown in different set of lights, and all of us need to be aware about it. So representation of Nataraj is something which is very obvious in the traditions of Chola architecture. Then a specific philosophy, Shiva Siddhanta philosophy, also developed during the time of Cholas. Naturally, Shiva was the most favorite deity of them. This philosophy also developed. And the foundational text, the most important text of this philosophy that we have is Shivangnam Bodham. That is the text which talks about this philosophy. 14 texts combinedly, they are known as Shiva Siddhanta Shastram. Shastram means a kind of important text. And theological tussle was very fierce between Shaivism as well as Vaishnavism. And that is the reason why one of the follower of Vaishnavism, one of the most important personality, and he is Ramanujam. So Ramanujam, he went to Karnataka. He left the area of Tamil Nadu because he was a follower of Vaishnavism. So that's something which we see, that within Hinduism also there are lots of cracks. We have various texts, various sects, like we have of Vaishnavism, Shaivism, Shaktism. Depending upon the inclination of the king, people are either going to give patronage to them or they will easily persecute them also. One of the most famous temples were built by them, as all of us know about Brideshwara and temples of Gangaikonda Cholapuram. Now, this is what I was talking about, temples as social institutions. Why temples were so important with respect to Cholas? Why? So please remember, they were the arena of social celebration. सारा सुख दुख वहीं से connected था life का. Okay, so now you can see the prime temple official. They were given different types of name, like which includes Koiramar, temple accountant, temple manager was known as Kantesar. So that is something which we did. Plus, they promoted the development of all of this learning by creating institutions like Gatika. Gatika used to look after education within the temple itself. There used to be a department like Gatika, which looked after education, dance, music, painting, as well as drama. That's why temple became the most important institutions. Then various kinds of plays were also on the lives of Raja Raja, like we have Raja Raja Natakam. This was performed in the Tanjore temple, which shows that how the king is getting the legitimacy from the various activities of temple itself. So as a result of this, temple became a source of centralization, कि हमेशा किसके लिए ये loyalty create करेंगे? King के लिए. That's why there are institutions of centralization, festivals of various categories, they were celebrated by them. It is said that singing hymns in temple premises promoted oral literacy, because naturally the mantras were recited, and somebody, if they recite them, it led to the rise of literacy. So temples were very important, not only as social institutions, they also had other work also. They helped in social integration. They recorded various kinds of gift and engraved them in institutions. Okay, they also had certain economic functions. How economic functions? Because as I've already told you, they used to employ people for different set of purposes. They used to have peasant in their payroll, because whatever land was given to them by the king, किसी को तो काम करना पड़ेगा ना उसके लिए. So that's why temple function as banks also, by advancing loans and by purchasing and receiving endowment and donations. Similarly, they became educational center, as training was imparted in Vedas, music, arts. Temple accountants are also audited, and the auditor was known as Koil Kanaku. So in a way, if you go to South India today, you will find temples have such a big impact on the lives of people. Such kind of impact cannot be seen in North India, this level of impact, what we see. And they became an all pervasive institutions, means which affects political, social, economic, culture, as well as religious. वो तो है ही main. All lives categories of the people were affected by the temple as an institution. Then Gangaikonda Cholapuram, as we already discussed about it, this was a commemoration of the victory of North India. UPSC once asked the question that how does temple tell us about the grandeur of Chola dynasty? How temples reflect the grandeur of Chola dynasty? तो उससे पता कैसे पता चलता है? Because these people used to construct temples the moment they used to have one or the other victory. सबसे पहले वो करते थे. Second, they used to get their gopurams, जो entry gates हैं, so big, so that it can show the power and prestige of the king. So in a way, architecture also showed us how grand the Cholas were. That's why जितने भी आप temples लोगे, they showcase the strength, the power of the dynasty. And if somebody is using such level of resources for building a temple, it means they were having large enough wealth in their kingdom. That also shows their strength. That's why they are very, very important, and eventually we need to understand it. Trade, as I've already told you, trade was a very important component. This was the area which was under their control. This was the area up to which they had many campaigns. Okay, even these campaigns. Okay, this is the state of Malacca. This is the state of Malacca. So this is the Srivijaya kingdom. हमने बात किया था Sumatra, and through this they went all the way up to China. So trade was a very important component of the Cholas. Okay, and that is something which all of us need to learn. मैप भी बनाना सीख सकते हो, कभी कॉमर्स के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आ जाए. Now, one very important concept. Whenever we talk about trade, there are some specific trading communities which participate in this, and these communities they make guilds. वो अपनी एक association बना लेते हैं. That's why here we find two merchant groups. Two merchant groups were very famous in the writings of Cholas. Like we have Anju Vanatar. They were the West Asian maritime traders, which includes Jews, Muslims, as well as Christians. And they were mostly operating from which kind of towns? Coastal towns. So जितने भी coastal areas हैं, वहाँ पे इनका दबदबा था. Okay, because they themselves came from outside and they used to station themselves at the coast. So this was one of the guild which was prominent under the Cholas. Similarly, we had another guild which was prominent here. The second guild is known as Mani Gramata, and this focus on which kind of trade? Inland trade. ये internal cities के बीच के internal villages to city उस trade के ऊपर focus करते हैं. They operated in towns like Kodumbalur, Urayur, and over time they merged with Aninturar as well as other guilds. Ayavol, this was a famous guild from the area of Karnataka, and this headquartered guild of the Southeast Asian maritime trade. So UPSC at times also asks such keywords कि Ayavol is related to which of the following? A merchant guild of South India. तो आपको ये keywords पता होने चाहिए जो बहुत ही highlighted होते हैं इन NCERTs में. ट्रेडिंग सेंटर्स बहुत सारे थे इनके, ठीक है, लाइक चेन्नई वाज अ फेमस एरिया. नागापट्टिनम वाज आल्सो एन इंपॉर्टेंट नेवल सेंटर. अलोंग विद ट्रेड, नेवल सेंटर वाज बिल्ट बाय देम. विशाखापट्टिनम, नेल्लोर, these were famous maritime areas. Transportation, all of us know, bullock carts, animals, boats were also utilized. Export included like sandalwood, ebony, spices. Sandalwood ये बहुत famous varieties है, which are pepper, as all of us know. Pepper is something which is always exported from India. Import में camphor, copper, tin, mercury, all those were important, and lots of infrastructure was created by them, by the rulers, so that people could focus on trade and commerce. If you see, they were great patrons of learning and supported various kinds of personalities. Like if you see literary works of Kamba Ramayanam, it belongs to this period. Rajendra Varma has also established a Vedic college. उन्होंने एक Vedic college भी बनाया था. 340 students in this Vaishnava center learning of the Vedas, grammar and Vedanta under how many teachers? 14 teachers. है ना, student teacher ratio भी निकल के आ जाएगा कितना है इसमें. Then Sanskrit center, subjects like Vedas, Sanskrit grammar, all of this was taught, and remuneration was given to teachers in land as service tenure. It means कुछ साल के लिए आपको एक specific land assign कर देते थे, and you can get the benefits of the fruits from that land, and that is what they were a big patron of learning. And if we see, the end of this dynasty happened because of invasions of Pandyas. So again, Pandyas ने invade किया. Two people are very important for that. The first person which we have to remember, it is Jatavarman Sundara Pandya I. So he invaded and it led to the downfall, and the final nail in the coffin, it came from Marvarman Kulashekara Pandya, and he defeated the last king. The last king of dynasty, it was Rajendra Chola III. ये ध्यान रखना, 1 नहीं होगा, 3 है. Rajendra Chola III, he was the last one, and he was defeated by Maravarman Kulashekara Pandya. This is how the magnificent Chola kingdom comes to an end by 13th century. So UPSC asks a lot of questions from here, because whenever we talk about South India, they are the most important part from South area. And history is something which is very much linked to them.
Hi, a very good evening to all of you. I'm Vikas Elawat. I'm a former civil servant. I was able to crack UPSC twice. In fact, in 2018, I was able to get highest marks in history optional, and they were around 324. So this year, I'm coming up with a series which I am calling Self-Study History Optional. इस series में 100 से ज़्यादा वीडियो होने वाले हैं, which are going to cover the different nuances of ancient, medieval, modern as well as world history. So those of you who are preparing for 2025, register करिए and try to get the maximum out of this specific initiative of ours. So at Prep Career IAS, we are producing results from last many years. 2023 में बहुत सारे टॉपर्स हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट से थे. 2022, 21 हर साल बहुत अच्छे टॉपर्स यहाँ से निकले हैं, and they have been able to get very good marks in history optional. So those of you who are thinking कि यार start करके कितना कर पाएंगे कितना नहीं कर पाएंगे, we already have achievements with us. I was able to achieve, my students are achieving, and you can be the next. इन सेशंस में क्या होने वाला है? नंबर 1, विल बी फोकसिंग ऑन फाउंडेशन ऑफ बेसिक कंसेप्ट्स, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम व्हाट इज हिस्ट्री, व्हाट इज हिस्टोरिकल पीरियड, व्हाट इज प्रोटो हिस्ट्री, व्हाट इज प्री हिस्ट्री, बेसिक लेवल. ओके. सेकंड, अलाइनमेंट विद यूपीएससी सिलेबस. जितना भी हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल का सिलेबस है वो 51 पार्ट्स में डिवाइडेड है. सो वी आर गोइंग टू अलाइन ईच एंड एवरी कंसेप्ट विद द सिलेबस इटसेल्फ. Number 3, we're going to focus on answer writing. All of you know कि जो मेंस है वो ऑब्जेक्टिव नहीं होता है, वो सब्जेक्टिव लेवल पे होता है, और आप सब लोगों को आंसर राइटिंग सीखना शुरू करना पड़ेगा, है ना. वी डू नॉट हैव टू मच ऑफ टाइम, तो जिस स्टार्टिंग से ही आंसर राइटिंग शुरू करेंगे. एंड नंबर 4, द ओवरऑल पैकेज इज़ वेरी हॉलिस्टिक इन नेचर. तो अगर आप इसको अच्छे से कर लेते हैं तो जो बेसिक लेवल फाउंडेशन हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल की वो कंप्लीट हो जाएगी. यू आर गोइंग टू गेट मैनी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग्स अलॉन्ग विद दिस. ओके, 100+ सेशन है, चारों पार्ट कवर होंगे. थीम वाइज सेग्रीगेटेड डायग्राम, फ्लो चार्ट, जितने भी इंपॉर्टेंट एनसीईआरटीज हैं. देखो, अगर हम सारी एनसीईआरटीज को कंबाइन कर दें, एंशिएंट, मिडिवल, मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड ऑफ वेरियस बोर्ड्स ऑफ इंडिया, तो 25 से 26 एनसीईआरटी निकल के आती हैं. उन सबको हमने कोहेरेंट फॉर्म में डिज़ाइन किया है सो दैट यू कैन लर्न द बेस्ट फ्रॉम दैट. ओके, बिकॉज देखो हिस्ट्री में रिसर्चेस चलती रहती हैं. अभी तमिलनाडु की जो एनसीईआरटीज हैं, दे आर मोर इंपॉर्टेंट इन कंपेरिजन टू द रीसेंट हिस्ट्री देन द प्रीवियस हिस्ट्री, जो कि आर.एस. शर्मा वगैरह, सतीश चंद्रा या फिर बिपिन चंद्रा ने लिखी हैं. दैट्स वाई वी आर कवरिंग ऑल द एनसीईआरटीज एंड दैट्स वाई 100+ सेशंस हो जा रहे हैं टोटल मिला के. देन 30+ वैल्यू एडेड आपको डॉक्यूमेंट मिलने वाले हैं, डेडिकेटेड आंसर राइटिंग सेशन मिलेंगे, जूम सेशंस भी करेंगे बाद में, ताकि आप लोगों की जितनी भी डाउट्स हों विद रिस्पेक्ट टू लर्निंग दे कुड बी सॉल्व्ड. ओवरऑल जो है आपको क्लास की पीपीटीज मिलेंगी, कंसेप्ट लिस्ट मिलेगा, PYQs, जितने भी PYQs हैं उनको अच्छे से हमने डिज़ाइन कर दिया ताकि आप सब उनको अच्छे से पढ़ सकें. माइंड मैप मिलेंगे पूरे सिलेबस के, वर्कबुक और लर्निंग असाइनमेंट्स मिलेंगे, एंड सेल्फ असेसमेंट टेस्ट, सो दैट वंस यू लर्न समथिंग तो साथ में उसको एटलीस्ट इवेल्युएट भी करना चाहिए ना, कि भाई हमें कुछ समझ में आया भी है, नहीं आया, एटलीस्ट जितना रिक्वायर्ड है वहाँ तक पहुँचे हैं या फिर नहीं पहुँचे हैं. तो आपको करना क्या है, वट वी नीड टू डू दैट, सबसे पहले आप रजिस्टर कर लीजिए. ठीक है, आपको एक स्पेसिफिक गूगल शीट मिलेगा, उसमें आप रजिस्टर कर लीजिए. देन एज ऑल ऑफ अस अंडरस्टैंड, हर किसी के पास लिमिटेड स्लॉट्स हैं, तो आपको एक स्पेसिफिक कॉल आएगा, एंड दैट इज समथिंग विच वी आर कॉलिंग एट स्क्रीनिंग प्रोसेस. बिकॉज अगर हमें आपको ये सारी सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करनी है, द नंबर ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स विच वी कैन हेल्प, दे आर ऑलवेज लिमिटेड इन नेचर. सो अकेडमिक काउंसलर इज गोइंग टू कॉल यू, दे गोइंग टू हेल्प यू आउट, दे गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड आपकी रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है. हो सकता है आप कॉलेज के फर्स्ट ईयर में हो, सेकंड ईयर में, थर्ड ईयर में हो, और यू मे हैव ऑलरेडी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर सम टाइम एंड यू आर नॉट गेटिंग द डिजायर्ड रिजल्ट. तो इसलिए हमें स्क्रीनिंग प्रोसेस चाहिए होगा. एंड फाइनली ऑन द बेसिस of this, you're going to get the benefit of this program.